Galnet News Digest, 9th of April 3310. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news, with the under-resourced Galnet newsfeed struggling to cope with an exhausting schedule of one 200-word article per week, we bring you the latest news from the Pilots Federation and from the Defence Council of Humanity.
The Pilots Federation has announced the release tomorrow of the new Achilles Aerospace Overcharged frameshift drive, but there are already concerns that its inter-system capabilities might underperform the existing Sirius FSD. Details are as yet scarce, and the Achilles Corporation has yet to make an announcement. However, the signature feature of the Achilles drive is Super Cruise Overcharge, so it appears highly likely that it will confer upon human ships the ability to travel as fast between the bodies in a system as the Stargoids travelled towards the bubble back in October and November 3308. This makes sense, as it was the Thargoid drive components used by the Titans that have been reverse-engineered to create the new Achilles drive. If it reduces the Hutton orbital run to 10 minutes or less, if it makes travel through a Thargoid system faster, and thus less prone to annoying interdiction, if it saves having to play a movie to stave off Super Cruise boredom, then it will be welcome. However, the Pilots Federation has also mentioned that the new drive will be a Class C, generally considered to offer a balanced but not outstanding performance. This strongly implies that the trade-off for faster intra-system transit times will be a far lower inter-system jump range. You may be able to get to Hutton orbital quickly, but Colonia will take a lot longer than before. The drives are expected to be available from Wednesday the 10th of April at the better high-tech stations. For those actually wanting to jump to Colonia, there's good news. The 5A pre-engineered frameshift drives will from tomorrow once again become capable of having the Mass Manager experimental modification applied for the very best available jump range.
Titan Oya caused consternation last week when it put out a fleet of Orthrus interceptors to attempt to gain more systems to strengthen its defensive position prior to the inevitable attack. The initial reaction of the Xeno Strike Force and the Anti-Xeno Initiative was to press on with the attacks against the Titan to attempt to destroy it before the alert systems could be invaded. However, the Titan proved too hard to overcome in a week, with not even the first heart destroyed. Instead, the backup plan, which apparently involves gathering thousands of tissue samples from Thargoid scouts, has shamed the Thargoids into completely abandoning their ambitions to expand. They get really embarrassed at the state of their carapaces and can't find a good moisturiser anywhere. Oya has been left with 7 controlled systems and a couple of alert systems in a calculated move to maximise the chances of leaving it at its most vulnerable. There's a spire site in Cephi sector XO-A B3, and apparently contaminating the supplies that it sends to Oya can greatly assist in weakening the Titan. We won't know until Thursday when Oya can be defeated. However, it seems clear that someone in Thargoid High Command wasn't willing to see the remaining 6 Titans fall as quickly as Tyrannus and Ligong.
A no-fly zone has been declared across the entire Milky Way galaxy tomorrow, Wednesday the 10th of April, to allow for an emergency update of ship firmware. The update, which will allegedly become available at 12 noon, adds support for input devices with more than 32 buttons, which will be particularly useful for species with more than 10 fingers. But the 2 most important improvements will be the removal of the repeated FSD failure imminent message for passengers visiting a Titan and a better translation of Titan Drive Component in Brazilian Portuguese. This last change is particularly important as the Brazilian League of Pilots have been particularly badly hit by the Thargoid invasion, and they would at least like to know what these strange objects really are. Commanders are likely to have to wait patiently for the new firmware to install before they can attempt to become the first commander to complete the Hutton run in under 12 parsecs.
And that's this week's Pilots Federation Release Notes. Pilots Federation Release Notes. We read the notes so you don't have to.